Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of America. Fuck yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, just one bar. That's all you get on this Wednesday, okay? One bar. America. Fuck yeah. Team America. Google it. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Enjoy it. Love it. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Wednesday. And you know what we get on Wednesday? We get weird on Wednesdays, coming at you hot from the outside of Austin. Listen, your boy's an outsider. I don't live in Austin. I live on the outskirts. I'm an outsider looking in on Austin staying weird. All right? And listen, Austin does stay weird. I love it here. Okay? Just realized my computer wasn't plugged in. This would have been a slow death in the podcast. This is what goes down, ladies and gentlemen, when you're running the ship and performing. I'm like that guy who he wears all the instruments and he does everything at the same time. I'm the producer. I'm the sound engineer. I'm the podcast E, and I'm the editor. Okay, just wearing all the hats with no hat. Bars. I live on the outskirts of Austin, okay? And listen, people have been asking me, I've been here for almost a month. What do I think of Austin? What do I think of Texas? And so far, after getting my first electricity bill yesterday, I love it, okay? About half what I paid in California, which is phenomenal because I didn't even have AC in California. I run that AC in Texas all day, every day. Half is what I paid for electricity. Impressive. Gas prices, I paid $2.20 on Sunday to fill up the tank, $2.20 a gallon. Phenomenal, you know. The food is delicious here. Great barbecue. No complaints. One thing, it's funny because, listen, it's the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that people in Texas, at least on social media, act like they don't want Californians to come to Texas. And I'm sure in a lot of parts there's some truth to that. So it's the elephant in the room. It's like, you know, don't California my Texas. I've literally seen like that, like on cars and shit like that. And I'm just driving around with California plates being like, well, this is awkward. But listen, what's weird is like, they think that like California, like I had guns before I moved to Texas, you know? I'm here to get weird with y'all. Like, you just think Californians want to move here and melt down all the guns into like friendship bracelets, you know? Nah, I'm here for a good time. And to get weird, not necessarily stay weird Austin, because I was downtown. I had this homeless guy ask me for $1. I said, no, I don't have $1. Sorry, man. Asked me for change. Sorry, man, I don't have change. Asked me for a cigarette. Sorry, man, I don't have a cigarette. And then asked me if I had Venmo. This man was a black belt at being homeless, all right? It was just top notch. So maybe not so weird, Austin, you know? But there is that weirdness of California in Texas. And what's funny is last night I did a set and do Texans do not take that shit as a joke when you start making fun of Texas or just poking fun at the fact that like Texas versus California and you happen to be from California. It's as if a werewolf entered the room. Okay, that's how they felt about it. It was as if I was COVID-19 itself, not the real COVID-19, but the COVID-19 that the news pretends that COVID-19 is. Anyway, let's not get canceled. Let's not get shadow banned with the podcast for mentioning anything against COVID-19. It who must not be named. But it was actually very funny because Texans did not like anything you have to say about the great state of Texas. And listen, I'm here for it. I moved here, all right? I'm here to have a good time with y'all, all right? I'm not here to ruin it. But it was funny because I prepared a set and I had about 3 or 4 minutes of just Texas versus California stuff. And I thought it was, people were going to know that I was joking, but there's just some things you don't mess with, okay? And messing with Texas, I guess, is just not one of them, especially when you're just fresh in here. Maybe I got to hang out for a while. But it was a very funny experience, and I laughed it off, and I thought it was funny. I had a joke about saying, I'm like, y'all would trade El Paso for Disneyland faster than you could say Whataburger. Crickets. I said, don't pretend like y'all wouldn't want a beach here. Someone goes, no. Oh, okay. No beach. No cool place to surf. Oh, you don't like sharks? Is that what it is? Just funny. But ladies and gentlemen, we get weird on Wednesdays. And welcome. I hope you're doing good. It's great to see you. Crazy yesterday. We live in the weirdest world. From Caitlyn Jenner is now running to be the governor of California. And it's so weird what we're doing currently in the world, where you have the president of the United States, POTUS, on Instagram. He doesn't even know what fucking Instagram is. Like I've said, 51st dates. Every day they have to wake him up and tell him, hey, you're the president. And, his wife has the paper and shows him a whole video. Wouldn't it be nice if we were old? You weren't so older. And he didn't trip going upstairs. That is unique. Okay, not many people can pull that off, continuously falling upstairs. But then again, I'm not going to make fun of an old man. We're all going to be there one day, okay? But at the time when I'm that old man and I'm tripping upstairs, don't have me run the free world, okay? I'm putting that out there now. Don't put a stick on my back and prop me up and make my arms move, because that's what they're doing with them. But this man posted on Instagram. He didn't do it. He doesn't have a phone. He has a raven that he sends with notes. And then someone that gets the raven or the messenger pigeon writes whatever he does. He says, hey, I want to tweet this. And he grabs a raven thinking that that's Twitter. He's like, well, this raven tweets, It just stupid. He actually posted on Instagram, fully vaccinated people can go outside without a mask on. What the actual fuck is going on? That this is real life. There was another thing posted, things that fully vaccinated people can do. One of them, I'm not joking, was go to Krispy Kremes. Go to Krispy Kreme. Donuts. What the fuck is stopping non-vaccinated people from going to Krispy Kreme? Another question. If you care about your health, why the fuck would you even want to go to Krispy Kreme? Now let me separate this. Go to Krispy Kreme, wanting to go to Krispy Kreme, and actually going to Krispy Kreme are two different things. Because if you remember a few episodes back, I admitted my love and my pull to Krispy Kreme donuts. Okay, that place to me, I want to die and I want to wake up and I want to have to claw my way out of the inside of a Krispy Kreme donut. Okay, I want to be birthed again in the afterlife, like in an egg, but it's just a Krispy Kreme donut, okay? And I'm just moving around in there, and then I gotta start pecking and making some space, and I have to eat my way out of this Krispy Kreme donut ball, okay? And then once I get out of that ball, I realize that my new world that I live on is just made of Krispy Kreme donuts, okay? There's a swing made of Krispy Kreme donuts. There's a fountain with just a warm Krispy Kreme donut glaze. And that's where I'll just spend eternity, fucking chasing butterflies made out of Krispy Kreme donuts. But they better have a water fountain in there, okay? Because you have too much, there's nothing worse than that. You remember when you were a kid and you'd be at a barbecue or a pool party or just at a park for a birthday and you didn't have water and you were just so dehydrated because you were eating all these yum-yums, but you just didn't have anything to wash it down with that was good. They just kept feeding you fucking 7-Up and Mountain Dew and shit. And you're like, I need to quench this thirst. Gatorade, But back to the point before I get lost in that rabbit hole. Listen. Things that vaccinated people can do. They are pushing this vaccination thing so hard. And Not only that, it's snowballed into virtue signaling. From the virtue signal of like, oh, I'm vaccinated, I'm part of the solution, like kind of bullshit. It's so weird that it's like a bragging right. It's weird that on Instagram, when you go on there, you see stickers that are like trying to promote you, like, oh, like look at all these cool vaccinated stickers. Like you can get vaccinated and you could use these stickers. What's stopping me from using those stickers now? Okay, listen. And here's the other thing. You're not stopping me from going outside without a mask on. I don't give a shit. And listen, if you want to try to stop me, I'll start spitting in people's mouths. Okay? Listen, if you're vaccinated, I will catch COVID and I will go outside and start spitting in people's mouths because we'll put that vaccine to the test. Okay? Because guess what? Once you started getting vaccinated, and listen, if people are at risk and they, they're within the statistics of the current survival rate and they feel the need to get the vaccine and they have loved ones who are at risk. Listen, I understand. That's why once I moved to Texas, I kind of took the training wheels off because in California, there was a lot of chances that it would be around family members, that would be around people who were at risk. So I did my part. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to be around people who are at risk, but then there's a certain point where it's like, this is self-accountability. This is being responsible for yourself, okay? And it's not up to me to make sure that you're being responsible, which is why this whole idea of shutting everything down the way we have, once we now know that COVID wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been, doesn't make sense. Like, the fact that we're over a year in and we're still now acting like it could be the COVID that we thought it was in the first month. Listen, when we locked down in the first, I forgot what month it was. If it was March, April, I don't know. 2020 was weird. I just think Tiger King. If we locked that down then because it was like, we don't know everything about this COVID-19. Some people get it. Some people, are asymptomatic. They can be spreaders without knowing. We didn't realize what we know now about it. We don't have the statistics, the survival rate, but we keep going forward like it is that. And then on the flip side, we're not looking at all the stuff that's happening because of this. And in the beginning, and that's why I always say that, like, it's okay to change your opinion once there's new data, once there's evidence. I know in the beginning of the pandemic, before we really knew anything, I was all for it. I was like, man, listen, we don't know what we're dealing with here. We don't know how intense this is going to be. Is it going to be like the Spanish flu? Is it, large groups of people, and then the more you dig into it, the more you realize, oh, okay, this is not what we thought it could be, which is a good thing. But for some reason, we keep going like it is. And it's become a weird virtue signal on social media. It's become an easy thing for people to get to tell people to do something. When people try to control other people, that's what always irks me when you have, whether it's friends trying to guilt you or family members, and they're trying to stop you from doing certain things because there's going to be other people exposed and you're going to put them at risk. And then people love saying, oh, okay, you just want to kill your grandma. Not my grandma, but I don't give a shit about yours. There, I said it. I'm just kidding. Someone's going to clip that right there and be like, Evan, the grandma killer. But that's the whole thing, is it's such an easy thing to just be like, oh, you want to kill old people? There's not really much you can say back to that. No, I don't. But the old people should stay the fuck inside. Okay? Listen, if you are at risk, stay inside. If you are not even out inside, just take precautions, because guess who shouldn't be inside? Someone who's trying to take care of their immune system. And this whole thing, like, that's why I was talking about how whoever wrote the stay-at-home orders is at least dyslexic, because we'd get the data and it'd be like COVID-19 dies instantly in sunlight. And they'd write down, stay the fuck inside. Shut the goddamn curtains. It'd be like exercise and nutrition helps boost the immune system. Close the goddamn gyms and give them extra coupons for Uber Eats. Stop the spread with cheesy bread. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I don't know. Gets me fired up. It gets me fired up because I posted something yesterday and a lot of people laughed at it. But some people will DM and they'll just virtue signal and being like, oh, this, there's nothing wrong with wanting to stop spreading this and killing innocent people. Hey, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, okay? Listen, anything I really post on social media, take it with a grain of salt, okay? Because not only, it is my duty to just make fun of shit, okay? It is God has given me this gift to just make fun of things, to turn anything into a joke. We could be at your grandma's funeral. I'll find a way to make you laugh. Some would say that's a good thing, okay? Some would say that's a good thing. But some people just take things so serious, and it's allowed people to just be super high and mighty and virtue signal. And just, there's a weird thing wrapped in with social media where it's like the study that like Instagram likes and comments and social media praise releases dopamine. It can be just as addictive as fucking cocaine, okay? It is all wrapped in weird to being able to manipulate people into virtue signaling. Like, that's why people do it. But it's dangerous because you have people who want to control people, and then you have people who want to just virtue signal, and they've like mashed it together into this giant ball, and it's just like rolling over social media. And it's like the censorship. It's so weird that they've tried to protect this narrative about COVID. Hey, welcome to the COVID Chronicles, okay? I don't have COVID, but welcome to the COVID podcast where all we do is talk about COVID. It's just so weird. Like, that's what it just irks me that none of this seems real. That we're weaponizing empathy, that it's so blatantly corrupt on social media, that it's just leaning so hard. And it's like the weirdest shit is about like how the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, how it was literally causing blood clots in women because it was like mixing with their birth control. And listen, I think what was the statistic? It was like 6 patients or something. Hey, and here's the truth. Here's the truth about it. The people who were taking that, they literally had to put just like the Johnson & Johnson is back. All they had to do was put a disclaimer that, hey, this can cause blood pressure issues or blood clots with younger women. Oh, you mean the people who are taking the vaccine but aren't necessarily at risk? Those people? Cool. So then it's like, what's the harm with getting the vaccine? Oh, okay, well, you're putting yourself at risk for something that you weren't necessarily, the vaccine wasn't even for a risk. And it's this new ass vaccine, and everybody's trying to get everybody to take it, which is like, it's weird that it's become a thing that if you don't want to take the vaccine, that you're a piece of shit. It's just weird. It's just all so weird. And that's why we get weird on Wednesdays, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we get weird on Wednesdays. Someone right now just took the vaccine was just like, oh, fuck. Take a baby aspirin, okay? Helps with blood clots. But it is weird. It is weird, and it's how they're like, they play on people being stupid. That's what they want. They want you to not think. They want you to just react, and it really is insulting to intelligence with how much they're pushing vaccines and how much all the evidence in the clinical trials. Just get COVID, okay? If you're a healthy young individual, just get it and get done with it. Because here's the other thing now they're saying, okay? We kind of thought COVID was going to be a one and done vaccine. Oh, you're supposed to get vaccinated every year now, okay? Every year you're supposed to get vaccinated. And on top of that, it's not even necessarily going to stop you from getting COVID. You still have to wear masks inside. There's a chance you will get COVID, but you just might not get a lot. That's what they said. It just might not be that bad. I don't know. It's weird. I think it's weird moving. The reason why I've been thinking about it so much is because I did move from a place like California to Texas. And even, when Texas decided to open up, and the mask mandate and everything and business could open up. Listen, Texans are responsible. They are. A lot of places, if they say, wear a mask in the business, people wear a mask. They don't ask questions. They don't fight with it. At least everywhere I've been. So there are a lot of places where it's like no mask inside. Yeah. But it's been open and the restrictions are loose and you can do what you want. And if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. No one talks shit about people wearing masks. And no one talks shit about people not wearing a mask. I love that. I love people just being able to have their own decisions to make. I love people having to be responsible for themselves. The last thing you want is a government or some entity, a body of other people having control and holding your fate in the balance. To feel helpless, which is why, early on during the pandemic, I was posting a lot of stuff about boosting your immune system because that was the best way you can defend yourself. Not hide inside and be scared and order Uber Eats and just watch TV. No, it was working out. It was taking vitamins, anything you can to boost your own immune system, be able to fight this. And I think that's huge in general. Our species, you want to pull it back like that. Our species, when have we ever fucking been out of the food chain? When was there ever not risk in just being a human? We want to talk all these other things aren't happening at the same time. Car accidents, fucking diabetes, heart disease. Look at all this other shit that has gone up during the pandemic. Depression, suicide. Dude, I've known 2 people that have overdosed on fentanyl during the pandemic. And it's terrible. And it's those kind of situations where it's like, had we not had these kind of restrictions, there's a chance that they could still be here. Because this way of life, taking away people's incentive for progress, to work, to, pursue a life and have a life and to live it and to make your own choices, what's the fucking point? People will do what they have to do to cope, And that's been the weirdest thing that no one really wants to talk about because they try to trump what you say with stop the spread, It's crazy. But Jesus Christ, this is the most serious podcast ever. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but it just is what it is, okay? It just is what it is. And I don't like being a COVID person. I don't like being someone who is distinctive with these masks, because I don't really care. The mask is annoying sometimes when I'm going places, but I don't care. If a business wants me to wear a mask, I'll wear it. I don't give a shit, okay? But it's this whole thing of if you get vaccinated, you can go outside without your mask. That was actually posted by the President of the United States. Hey, fucko. Yeah, I said it. He's not going to remember it. I'm going to do what I want outside because you know what dies instantly in sunlight? COVID. And here's the other thing. Next, he's going to be if you're fully vaccinated, you can breathe. If you're fully vaccinated, you can go inside and drink water. All these basic things that we already have been able to do. But for some reason, like that felt like what you should lead with. Maybe be more vague. Like, honestly, if I was his campaign manager and his like marketing, I'd be like, write something about the vaccines and how we can get back to regular life, just from an incentive point of view. Because if you start telling me, listen, I'm someone who's a contrarian, you start telling me I can't do something, I'm going to do it. Listen, I went out and I did fucking cartwheels butt naked through the sprinklers yesterday because it can, because America, okay? And that's what's weird is like the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, the way it's written and everything, we can't forget that. I know that sounds so silly and so old man of me, but like these are basic freedoms that were established of what we can do and what the government can't impede on. And we're kind of letting the government do a lot of that when they start saying you can't go outside without a mask on if you're not vaccinated, because that's what that means. By saying if you're fully vaccinated, you can go outside without a mask, is saying that if you're not vaccinated, you can't go outside without a mask. Dude, no. And the reason why, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I understand if you're like, try to social distance if you go outside. Okay, yeah, I could see that. If you don't fucking slow dance with someone under a tree, leave enough room for Jesus, that would at least make some sense in my brain. But there's just the blanket thing of like, you can't go outside unless you wear a mask if you're not vaccinated. Why? Because we said so. Okay. It's not even necessarily this is the issue, the exact thing. It's the principle behind that, which is a problem. Because where does it stop? Where does that stop of control, of what we're allowed to do with our daily lives? When does it turn into something of the COVID passports? Do you have your vaccine? Well, you can't travel. Oh, you didn't get your vaccine? Okay, well then we're going to withhold this from your paycheck. We're going to do this. Oh, you don't have your vaccine? Okay, well you can't enjoy these basic luxuries like going to amusement parks and restaurants and all this stuff. It will start getting into weird territory of control and everything. It was the same thing with like, what was it, the TSA? Where, is it TSA or NSA? It's one of those. Google it. When they started spying on people and they were like, Obama came out and he was like, American people, no one's looking at your phones. And I'm like, please don't read my text messages. It's like, what do we give up for perceived safety? Stopping the spread. We can stop this pandemic and get back to normal. Versus, when they were like, we're going to spy on everybody's phone to help stop terrorism. Okay, well, shit, now you're trying to scare me and more fear-mongering. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense if there's something in there where like saying that thing where it was like, if someone's linked to terrorism, they can look at their messages. And all it was, the requirements was like, they could basically, it gave a blanket rule to be able to look at anything. Because it's like, if you ever text a number that received a spam call from the Middle East or anywhere outside the US, you're now linked to possible terrorism of an outside threat because of just you text someone who got a spam call from somewhere else. And if that spam call called somewhere else, then you were also linked to terror. So it was such a blanket statement and connection to what would allow them to go in to be able to look at all your shit. And people are like, well, what do you have to hide? It's not the point. It's not the point, ladies and gentlemen. It's not the point. What else is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, went back to jiu-jitsu. Did your boy get murdered? Yeah, we got murdered. Shout out to 10 Planet Austin. Just murdering me. Felt good to be back. Rusty as hell. Started rolling with the coach, black belt. Crazy pressure. Just broke your boy. Just tapped out repeatedly. Just tapped out like a tap dancer. Okay. Thought I was tired the rest of the day, but I was like, oh no, I just have crazy amount of head pressure from being choked nearly unconscious repeatedly. But guess what? I feel great. Feels great to be back in the world, It's one of those things where it's great to do things that really fuck you up. I know that sounds funny, But it's great to do things that really hurt and fuck you up, make you nervous, like stand-up. Last night before doing stand-up, when I'm the next person up, I'm standing in the back and I'm just like, okay, here we fucking go. Because it's like the nerves come back and everything, and you're just like, ugh. And I try to relish in it now. I'm just like, okay, this is a sign that you're doing something outside of your comfort zone, which is ultimately going to lead to growth. And that's the way I spin it. And the same thing with getting tapped out. The same thing with getting beat up in jiu-jitsu is it's leading somewhere to growth, okay? Because just like a muscle, only grows under resistance. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this wasn't too much of a downer for you. Was a great weekend. There's something weird, and this whole phenomenon, just broke my microphone. There's this whole phenomenon going on with social media and everything. I don't know what's happening, to be honest with you. I don't know if anybody does, but like there's so much stuff, and I always tinker with the idea of just getting off social media and using it just as a tool to post stuff. I end up consuming too much stuff, and I end up it's not necessarily good. I think we should all use social media with limitations, because I found out the average person is on there for like 3 hours a day. What the fuck? That's like almost half a work day. But there's this weird thing happening. I'm sure you guys know about this Jake Paul thing. I call it now the Jake Paul effect. Do you guys remember Andy Kaufman became a troll? One of the first trolls, that really had success. And there's this like shtick behind it. And then it was like he was there at the UFC event this weekend. And this is not really an attack on him. This is more like an observation of what is going on in social media. Because I could give two shits of what any individual wants to do with their time. If they're making money, good for them. And it's more of just like a phenomenon of what is considered success in life now. And it was like this huge thing of Jake Paul, was at the UFC. The whole crowd was chanting, fuck Jake Paul. He even got into like a confrontation with Daniel Cormier, who's a commentator, former light heavyweight champion of the world in the UFC, former heavyweight champion of the UFC, former Olympic wrestler, completely decorated, and like talking shit to him as if they were going to fight and telling him he could beat him up, when in reality he can't at all. And it's like objectively, it doesn't work at all. But what is interesting to me is what people call this whole thing. And they start saying, yo, Jake Paul is a genius. He is brilliant with his marketing and all of this stuff. And they start throwing around these terms, and they start saying all this stuff about, oh, he's such a genius because of the way he's doing this. It's weird to me that we've switched the measuring stick of success from actual results to views, to eyeballs. It's become an equivalence, the measuring stick of what is success in people's eyes. And it's interesting because I don't know what the right answer is. Maybe that is it. It could be genius marketing. In reality, it kind of is, because if the idea of ads and marketing, what do you want? You want people to be invested, and you want eyeballs on your product. But what's the weird thing about it is that with social media, there's no disconnection from the amount of likes, the amount of views and attention versus the mastery of a skill to attain that. And I know I'm all over the place right now. It's become a weird thing to where in the future, I don't know if there are going to be, how much mastery there's going to be when the lowest hanging fruit is the results. Like when you start looking at a current state of like OnlyFans, you start looking at TikTok, you start looking at all these blips of things that are low-hanging fruit. And I call them low-hanging fruit because it doesn't require a big barrier to entry into perceived results of viewership. It's a weird fucking thing. A weird thing that like it's switched so much from years of dedication to like forging a career or a path to now this. It's like, it's just diet. It's diet something to me. It's like diet skill set. There's something weird and manufactured about it. And it's something that speaks to like the same kind of dopamine rush of social media. It's almost like Cops. Remember the show Cops, where it was just like mind-numbing entertainment? And there's something about that. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to my non-comedy podcast where we just get super fucking introspective on Wednesdays. That's what I'm starting saying on Wednesdays. Let's get introspective and weird on Wednesdays, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, listen. I love you guys. If you stuck around through this whole mind fuck of an episode, then I really love you, okay? And because of that, you earned this. Ready? Now you can take that to the bank and deposit it, okay? Because that's something special right there. And remember, no matter what, I still love you.